Hello again. This is Bob Milam coming to you again from the Salt Lake chapter of the Utah High School Football Officials Association with another study topic for 2019 training. Today's topic is an often overlooked rule in football, and it has to do with player numbering. This is a subject that most, if not all, officials don't fully understand. So let's take a look and see what we can learn today. Let's look at what we're going to talk about, the big picture. What we're going to talk about today is this, the overview. Why do players wear numbers? Let's take a look at it and see if we can answer that question, and then cover the basics about forward pass eligibility rules. Also, we'll spend some time talking about Rule 725 in your rule book, which is titled Numbering at the Snap. We'll talk about scrimmage kick formations and the numbering exception for the two scenarios involved in the scrimmage kicks. We'll also cover backs who are numbered 50 through 79 and line up in the backfield and what they can and cannot do. And then finally we'll sum everything up. So let's get started. Take a look at the background. One of the basic rules of football, in high school football anyway, is that players must wear numbered jerseys 1 through 99. No zeros, no 100s and above. So it's kind of a basic rule, but it's important. And there's some things associated with the numbering that are very basic to the game, but may be overlooked by a lot of officials. I think we all are aware that numbers 50 through 79 in a varsity contest and those in which we enforce the numbering the rules and exceptions are never eligible receivers. They are always ineligible numbers. However, there's some other things associated with numbering that you may not be aware of. More than one team member may dress in an identically numbered jersey. So you may have 2 number 10s on your roster or 2 number 50s on your roster. They just can't be in the game at the same time. Each player in the game must wear a uniquely numbered jersey. Like I said, you can't have 2 players wearing the same number in the game at the same time. But also, team members are not restricted to wear the same number throughout the game. They may indeed change jerseys if they so desire. There's no rule against doing that. So why do players wear numbers? Well, there's several reasons. And it's more important in football than it is in many other sports. And I think you can understand this when you understand the pass eligibility rules. But also, coaches have players wear numbers so they can more easily identify individuals during their film study, as we can as well. And it's also so that the defense may identify eligible and ineligible receivers as they line up to defend them. The bottom line is because of the forward pass play and eligibility rules, we have the numbering rules of football. So that in order to keep a balance between the offense and defense. Well, let's look at some of the basics of these rules. As you know, when we line up in a formation on a scrimmage down, there's a maximum of 6 eligible receivers on each scrimmage down. Now, there's no restriction during free kick downs about numbering, but that's because you cannot throw a forward pass legally on a free kick down. But on any down where you can throw a legal forward pass, the numbering restrictions are in effect and numbering rules are in effect. Eligibility is determined by both a player's number and his position in the formation offensively. The 2 ends and 4 backs, numbering 6 at most, are the ones who are eligible to wear numbers 1 through 49 and 80 to 99, and are the only 6 players who are eligible to receive legally a forward pass. The eligibility status of a player is retained throughout the down. This is covered in Rule 756D. That means that if you're eligible at the start of the down, you will remain that way throughout. And similarly, if you are not eligible, such as number 67, our center in this photo, he will remain ineligible throughout this entire down. Let's look a little bit closer now at Rule 725. This is found in the rule book on page 60. And it defines the conditions that are required for a team that is preparing to snap the ball. So at the snap, Team A, meaning the offense, must have at least 5 A players on the line at the snap and no more than 4 backs. This rule was changed this year. Now we can have more players than this, up to 7 on the line, but no more than 4 backs in the game at any time. Now regardless of how many players are on the offensive line, at least 5 A players on their line must be numbered 50 through 79. So if they have 7 of them, 2 of them may have eligible numbers, but if they have less than that, this requirement is not reduced, ever. So make sure that the players are numbered properly on the line of scrimmage. No players can be wearing identical numbers, and there is no restriction anywhere for B players. They may be anywhere on or behind their line of scrimmage on their side of the neutral zone, wearing any number they choose. The only restrictions apply to Team A. Now there's a couple of exceptions to this numbering rule, and they occur during scrimmage kick formations. So let's take a look at them. The scrimmage kick formations are defined in Rule 214.2, found in page 29 and 30 in your rule book. And there are 2 different formations, and the numbering exceptions apply differently to each one. So let's look at the 2 different formations. Here they are. 214.2A and 214.2B. 2A is a field goal formation or place kick formation. 214.2B is punt formation. And the rules for numbering apply differently to each of these formations. So let's take a look and let's define them. First, 214.2A is defined as no player in position for a hand-to-hand snap. A player, namely the holder, with his knee on the ground, that is 7 or more yards beyond or behind the line of scrimmage, in position to be a holder, in position to receive a snap with another player 3 yards behind him, the kicker. And this player in position to attempt a place kick. That's a lot of requirements for this formation to be met. 214.2B is much simpler. No player in position for a hand-to-hand snap. 1 player at least 10 yards or more behind the line of scrimmage in position to receive a long snap. Those are the requirements. Now let's look at the numbering exceptions that apply to each one a little bit differently. Now this is where you're going to want to pay close attention, because I'll bet you that nobody's ever covered this with you before. But these numbering exceptions are different for each formation depending on the down. Let's start with the field goal formation. Numbering exception number 1. This applies when a team is in formation 214.2A on first, second, or third down only. If that's the case, only the snapper may legally be numbered other than 50 through 79. And then, with the other 4 linemen who are numbered 50 through 79, Rule 725 is satisfied. So here, the snapper is the only player. The snapper must be covered by an end, and he remains ineligible by position throughout the entire play. It's a complicated rule, isn't it? And it only applies on first, second, or third down. Let's take a look at the other numbering exception, number 2. So this is only for this formation. If the other formation is used, this rule does not apply. Let's look at the other one. Numbering exception 2. This is on fourth down or during a try. So if we line up for a field goal on fourth down or on a try, or we're in punt formation on 4th down, then we can do this. In either of these formations, any A player on the line may wear any number they choose. The 5 interior linemen remain ineligible by position, and those numbered 50 through 79 remain ineligible by number, whether they're on the end of the line or not. Again, 4th down or a try is different than a field goal formation on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down. Well, what are the implications of this? In all cases, whether a numbering exception applies or not, in either of these scrimmage kick formations, the snapper is protected when they qualify by being in one of these two formations. Umpires and wings, you guys have got to know who's eligible and who isn't as they go into their pass patterns, or if a fake field goal or a fake punt play involves a forward pass. Know when the exceptions apply and when they don't. The penalty that we assess for an infraction here is the illegal formation foul, a 5-yard penalty. You also need to watch for possibles ineligible downfield and any illegal touches, which they then are involved in. So there's a lot to think about when we line up in these plays, particularly for umpires and for wings, keeping track of these exceptions and numbering. Let's talk for a minute about backs, numbered 50 through 79. These are ineligible forward pass receivers because of their number. They don't count as one of the 5 required linemen that satisfy Rule 725. So the offense still needs to have 5 more players in the game numbered 50 through 79. However, a back, regardless of his number, may carry the ball, throw a forward pass or a backward pass legally. They may also receive a snap, a handoff, or a backward pass. No restriction there. Their only restriction is that they are ineligible forward pass receivers, whether those passes are completed behind the line of scrimmage or if the pass crosses the neutral zone is of no effect here, has no effect on your decision. All right, well, we've covered a lot. Let's sum it up. Numbers define pass eligibility, and in general, Rule 725 must be complied with at the snap on virtually every scrimmage down, unless one of the exceptions applies. Now, it's okay if a team chooses to lose an eligible receiver through numbering by placing an ineligibly numbered player into an eligible position, otherwise eligible position. They just lose an eligible receiver who may not go out and receive a pass downfield. Review the 2 types of scrimmage kick formations, A and B, for punt and field goal. Learn the 1st, 2nd, 3rd down exception for the field goal formation and the 4th down exceptions for both, and try exceptions for both formations. Remember what the backs 50 through 79 can and can't do, and read these 2 rules, 725 and 756, again and again. In closing, let me just say that most coaches, officials, players, and fans aren't going to know this rule that we've covered today and how these rules all interlock with each other and when the exceptions apply and don't apply. So, don't go looking for this foul. Correct it first, use common sense, make sure the team is trying to comply with the rules before penalizing them for something that is a fairly obscure part of the rule book. Well, thank you very much for listening and for your participation in our training videos this season. Good luck and have a great season.